So welcome guys back to another video in the channel. Today we are doing our Premier League predictions for the year 2022-2023. I've done the last 2 years I think of this, and I haven't done so well. So I want to make sure this year I've got it on point, and I've got a list of 20 teams which will appear in order down there. And let's see what I come up with. So we are going to start from bottom up, and starting on number 20, I'm going to go Fulham. I think they're going to go straight back down to the Championship. Now, they have made one or two good signings, it has to be said. João Palhinha being one of them, Andreas Pereira being another, Manuel Solomon's a good signing, and they could sign Bernd Leno as well. Good signings, but they've also lost key players such as Jean-Michel Seri, Fabio Carvalho, and Zambo Anguissa. Their starting 11 is probably a tad worse off than it was before they last got relegated. And I think the fact that I think most teams above them are going to be much stronger. And I think for that reason, I think Fulham won't be able to survive. And their record of surviving isn't so great either. Yes, they've got a good manager, and yes, maybe Mitrovic can bang this season in the Premier League. But if I was Fulham, I'd try and get another striker. I wouldn't rely on Mitrovic because of his record in the Premier League. It isn't great. But there we go. That's Fulham. The next team I'm predicting on number 19 is actually Bournemouth. Now, Bournemouth are another team that have lost a key manager again in Eddie Howe and haven't so much so increased their squad. Like, it's not that they haven't really improved it so much. They've signed Joe Rothwell and Ryan Fredericks. So they've not really improved on their current squad, which has Dominic Solanke up front, and a lot of the team that got relegated with them the last time they got relegated, and it looks much weaker with only Travers in goal, not Aaron Ramsdale, who was relegated with them a season prior. So I think Bournemouth are not going to have enough strength to survive in the Premier League, and I just think it's not going to work. At number 18, I've gone with Everton. Now, this may be a bit controversial, but I just think Everton just aren't strong enough, and I do not believe in Frank Lampard whatsoever. I do not think he's a good enough manager to lead them in the Premier League, and he's not a Premier League level manager, Frank Lampard. The only reason he did okay at at uh, at Chelsea is because of the quality of play he has. But in Everton, it's just not there. It's just the players aren't that good enough, and they've lost players like Richarlison. And the only signing they've made actually is James Tarkowski. They've not made any other signings, and they've let go a few of the good players, like Fabian Delph, Cenk Tosun, Jared Branthwaite, John Joe Kenny, and obviously Richarlison. So I just don't think they're good enough to survive. Obviously, losing 4-0 to Minnesota wasn't helpful, but I just don't think Everton have the quality to stay up in the Premier League. And that's what I think, anyway. Number 17, I'm going to go with Southampton. I think they'll get close to getting relegated, but they won't. I think they do have good, all right quality players, and they've still kept hold of their good talents like Ward-Prowse, and they have added some okay players. Gavin Bazunu is a good player, Sekou Mara, Romeo Lavaya, Armel Bella Kotchap is a good young player, as well as Joe Rebo. But they have let go of a few half-decent players like Fraser Forster and Will Smallbone. So I do think Southampton are a team under a good manager, and I feel like Southampton are a team that have stagnated a lot in the last few years. They haven't really progressed under the manager, and maybe it's time for a new managerial change, and which is why I do think they'll struggle this season. I don't think they're bad enough to get relegated, so much so like Everton, Bournemouth, and Fulham, but I do think they'll be in and around that battle. Number 16. Now, this could be a bit of a surprise. Maybe not, maybe it is. And I'm going to say Nottingham Forest. Now, the main reason for this is I think the City ground is going to be so helpful for them because that ground is electric when it is on it. And I feel like combined with the manager, Steve Cooper, he's an excellent manager, and I think he will guide them in the Premier League. I think it will be a tough battle for them at times, but I feel like they've made some good signings. They've signed Dean Henderson, Jesse Lingard, Nico Williams, Tyree Oniui, and Musa Niakate. They've got some very good players there to try and help them survive. Players like Jesse Lingard and Dean Henderson will add much needed quality to a team, which isn't so brilliant, but because they've obviously lost Dave Spence as well, which they've replaced with Nico Williams. You know, players like Harriata, Cafu, Brennan Johnson, obviously Lolly, all very good players who will help them in the Premier League. And I feel like their home ground will be the deciding factor for them next season. And I think that's going to be one of the main reasons they do stay up. Number 15, not much so an improvement, but Brentford, they've not actually got a bad team, you know. They have lost Christian Eriksen obviously to Manchester United, and under a very good manager as well, under Thomas Frank. They've signed Keane Lewis Potter, Aaron Hickey, which is a brilliant signing, Thomas Strakosha from Lazio, and Ben Mee. So that those last three, I think, will immediately improve their team because they're three very top players. And I don't think they're going to make much of an improvement this season, but I think they will stabilize in the Premier League. And I don't think they're a team that are so susceptible to second season syndrome. Again, a very good home ground, as Arsenal found out last season at the start. And I think they're a team that could push on, and Millwall will do very well this season to maybe just solidify their place in the Premier League. Nothing much more. At number 14, I'm going to go with Brighton and Hove Albion. Another team that I think are decent, but I don't think are ready to make leaps and bounds this season. In terms of arrivals for them, they could, well, departures, they could very much lose Marco Correa, which would be a very big L for them. And they've already lost Yves Bissouma, Abdullah Sima, Aaron Connolly, and Leo Ostigard. But they have signed Julia Enisco and Simon Adingre, players that I'm not familiar with, but Graham Potter again is another excellent manager and will do very well to get the very best out of some of those players. And I do think Brighton are a team that are unfortunate in that they can't attract the quality players to push on, because Graham Potter is a manager that can get the very best out of players, and it's gonna be, I don't think it's gonna be another. I don't think they'll do much more than just stagnate at mid-table in the Premier League. I don't think Brighton are going to do much more, to be honest. And I don't think it's fair to expect much more of them, to be honest. And yeah, that's Brighton at 14th. In 13th, I'm going to go with Leeds, who have done actually quite impressive business in this window. They're one of the top spenders in the Premier League under manager Jesse March. They have implemented a style quite similar to the one they had under Marcelo Bielsa. They have lost, obviously, Rafinha. They've lost Calvin Phillips, two massive departures. But they have spent equally, signing Brendan Aronson, Luis Sinestra, Tyler Adams, Rasmus Christensen, and Mark Rocker. So they have spent heavily on players that are pretty decent. And I think they have strengthened, but obviously they have been weakened from those two big departures of Rafinha and Calvin Phillips. But I do think under a good manager, again, a lot of these clubs actually have very good managers. It's just they can't attract the quality players. But I feel like Leeds have done a very good job attracting players like Mark Rocker, Tyler Adams especially, and players like Erasmus Christensen and Brendan Aronson are players that Jesse Marsh has previously worked with, so he'll know what they're all about. And I think he could get the very best out of them. I think they will do decently, but I don't think they'll get any more than 13th, to be honest. I think that's fair, in my opinion, for Leeds. Moving on, I've put Wolves at 12th. Again, a team with a very good manager. I keep saying this, but it's very true. Bruno Lage has done very well with this team last season. The fact they signed Jose Sarr last year has done very well for them. And they've signed Wang Hee-chan and Nathan Collins so far. Again, decent players. Letting go of Ruben Vinagre, Roman Saiz, and Fabio Silva, and Keanu Hova, as well as Marcel. They will probably make one or two more signings, but a team that is already very good probably will stagnate a bit at 12th. I don't think they'll do much more. However, we'll just have to see with Wolves, aren't they? They're always a tricky side to face for any Premier League team, and they've obviously got Adama Traore back on loan, which is back from the loan from Barcelona, so that will obviously help improve their team also. At 11th, I've gone with Aston Villa, maybe a bit of a surprising one, but I'm a very big fan of Steven Gerrard, and Aston Villa are a team that have a very big squad value, and they've got some decent players there, and I think it's just about getting them to gel, and they've added excellently to that. I feel like they've signed Diego Carlos, Boubacar Kamara, obviously making Felipe Coutinho permanent, as well as Robin Olsen. So they have strengthened significantly, and I feel like under a team that's already very decent, they have the potential to push on. Not as much so push for the European places, But I feel like they will have the quality to at least get into that, push the top half of the table, which is why I've put them in 11th. At number 10, I've gone maybe for a surprising one, but Crystal Palace. Again, a manager I'm a big fan of. People did not believe in him. Patrick Vieira is a manager that has instilled a playing style within Crystal Palace, and I think Crystal Palace will be the surprise package this season, surprising a lot of teams. I feel like, and in terms of arrivals this season, they've managed to sign players like Sheikh Doucouré, Sam Johnston, and Malcolm Ebuwi, and I think Crystal Palace are a team that, as I said, will be the surprise package this season. In terms of under a very good manager, under a half decent squad already, if they can keep their players like Michael Elise, Eze, Zaha, Edouard, Mateta, they could be on for a decent season. And I think they have a lot of quality in their team. And let's just see what happens with Crystal Palace this season, which is why I put them in 10th. Now, in ninth, I've gone with Leicester City. I think Leicester City haven't signed anyone so far this window, and they already have a half decent squad, which could be weakened from departures such as Yuri Tielemans. However, I think Leicester City are a team that are already quite strong. So I don't think they'll slip away into anywhere below mid-table, but I do think they'll stagnate in that 9th to 10th area, because they've not strengthened. And I think when teams above you are strengthening so much, I think it's very important for you to strengthen. I don't think Leicester City have done that. And I think it will help, it will hinder their progress, and I don't think they'll make a European place this season. And I think 9th seems fair for them because they haven't made any signings, they haven't improved, and they could be weakened if they lose players like James Maddison and Yuri Tielemans, which will be very big for them. So I think for Leicester City, 9th seems about right for me. Moving on to 8th, another maybe surprise one, but I'm gonna put Newcastle in 8th. I don't think they'll just make a European spot yet, but I think they'll be very, very close to it. They're a team that are signing top players. They've signed Nick Pope already. Sven Botman was a massive signing, as well as Matt Target, and they will make more signings, Newcastle, which is the scary part because they've got so much money they will spend. And Eddie Howe is a manager that does know how to get the very best out of players, and already a decent squad they have on their hands. They could strengthen even further, and they will make a push. I'm convinced Newcastle are a team that are not going to take it lightly. They're not going to be very slow with their project. They will try and push on, and I don't think they'll just make a European spot yet, but they will ruffle a few feathers, and I think they'll definitely be on for a top half finish. I don't think just pushing the European places just yet, but I think they'll be near enough closing in on those spots. So that's why I've put Newcastle in 8th. In the comp, now we're moving into the European places. West Ham, I'm going to put into 7th. Again, a team now already decent, and they have strengthened. They have strengthened. The striker position was one they had to strengthen, and they have done that significantly. They have signed Anif Agayard, Flynn Downs, and Alphonse Areola, and they will make more signings. So I think they're a team that are already quite strong. Haven't lost any of their key players, like Jared Bowen, like Declan Rice. They haven't lost any of those key players yet, and they are putting more on top of that, which is why I think seventh seems right for West Ham United. And I don't think they'll make much of a push than that because I think the teams above them are significantly stronger. But I think David Moyes has done such an incredible job with this team so far, and I think 7th seems about right for them. Manchester United, I'm going to put into 6th. I think they're a team that have a few struggles still. Obviously, the situation surrounding Ronaldo, but they have improved, signing Lisandro Martinez, Tyrell Malacia, Christian Eriksen, and obviously the returning loan of players like Anthony Martial, who has looked good in pre-season. However, I think Ten Hag's project will take a bit of time. It's not going to be so easy for them. I think he's a manager that will in a few years get the very best out of him. But I think United do need a bit of time, and I think it will be 1 or 2 years before they are challenging even in the Champions League spots. I could be wrong, but I think teams above them are more cohesive and stronger. But in 5th, I'm going to go for Chelsea. I feel like Chelsea are going under a bit of a transition. They did lose to Arsenal 4-0. I'm not going to base it off that, but just from that, they don't look ready for the season, and they don't look like a unit. They have some decent players, obviously Kalidou Koulibaly and Raheem Sterling, and they could be adding Jules Koundé to that if he doesn't go to Barcelona. But I think I think Chelsea are a team that have got so much quality and they're a good manager, but I think a few of the problems that have hindered them recently, like sanctions and so forth, will carry into this season in terms of trying to adapt under the new ownership and trying to rebuild, reprocess, and try and get the players out that want out and try and get all the players in. So I think it will be a 1 year transition before they are again challenging at the top, which is why I'll put them at fifth. At fourth, I'm going to go for my club, Arsenal. They looked very strong. We've looked very strong in preseason, and I have to say this season has to be the one where we are in the Champions League spot. I think the teams above us are significantly stronger, which is why I will not put them in the top three. But Arsenal definitely in fourth. Significant signings like Fabio Vieira. Said that wrong. Fabio Vieira, Gabriel Jesus, Alexander Zinchenko, Matt Turner, Marquinhos. We have improved, and we could be adding more to it. So let's see how it goes for Arsenal this season, but I'm putting them in fourth. Number three, I'm going to go for Tottenham Hotspur. Under Antonio Conte, they've got a serious manager, and they've had a very typical Antonio Conte window. They've signed Ivan Perisic, they've signed Did Spence, Richarlison was a massive signing as well, and I think they're a team under Antonio Conte. They're going to do so well this season, and I think they will be the closest team to breaking that top two, and I think they will get close, Spurs, because I don't think they'll challenge for titles or anything. I don't think you'll be like that. But Conte knows what he wants, and when he gets what he wants, it works. And I think I think they're a team that we should be worried about this season. This could go down very wrong, but let's just see. And that's why I've gone for Spurs in third. Now, who I think will win the league and who will come second? Again, it's down to the two, Man City and Liverpool. But I'm going to say the winners of the Premier League season will be Manchester City once again. They just look beyond it because how strong they are. They have weakened, it has to be said. They've lost Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko to Arsenal. They've lost Raheem Sterling as well, among some others who may leave, like Bernardo Silva. But they have strengthened Erling Haaland, Julian Alvarez, Calvin Phillips, and they are going to add Marc Correa to that as well. So, and those 3-4 players are very significant for them, and I think they're just going to be again unstoppable this season. I think some may think that the fact that they could focus on the Champions League a bit more mean they fall away from the Premier League, but I don't think that'll be the case. They're just too good. And I think Manchester City will be the Premier League champions. Coming second will be Liverpool, have added quality of their own with Darwin Nunez, and they will add more. But I just don't think they're going to battle Man City too much. I think Man City will probably run away with the league again. But that's my opinion. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. Who do you think is going to win the league? Who do you think is going to be relegated? And who do you support and where do you think your club will finish in the Premier League this season? If you have enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. See you guys in the next one. Bye bye.